Maybe even a short howl. Then suddenly, silence. Your dog jumps up, ears straight, eyes locked on the hallway. And then they start barking, loud, focused, like something is standing right there. But when you look, there's nothing. No person, no animal, not even a sound. Just your dog staring into empty space. If you live with a dog, you've probably seen this moment before. Everything in the house feels completely normal, and then suddenly your dog starts barking at nothing. Which leads to the question almost every dog owner eventually asks. Why do dogs bark at absolutely nothing? Are they hearing something we can't? Are they reacting to something invisible? Or are they just being weird? The truth is actually much less mysterious, because most of the time, dogs are not barking at nothing. They're reacting to something that humans simply don't notice. And once you understand the reasons behind this behavior, those strange barking moments start to make a lot more sense. So let's start with the most common explanation. Reason 1. Dogs hear things we cannot. A dog's hearing is dramatically more sensitive than ours. In fact, dogs can detect sounds that are both quieter and higher in frequency than humans can hear. That means your dog might notice sounds that are completely invisible to you. Things like a mouse moving inside the wall, a small animal outside in the yard, the faint hum of an appliance running in another room, or even a car door closing several houses down the street. To us, the house feels perfectly silent, but to your dog, there may be tiny sounds happening everywhere. Imagine sitting in a quiet room. You hear nothing, but suddenly your dog turns toward a wall and starts barking. It may look like they're reacting to empty space, but there's a good chance they're actually responding to a sound that your ears simply can't detect. Sometimes that sound disappears quickly. The mouse stops moving. The animal runs away. The noise stops. And by the time you look around, there's nothing there, which makes the whole moment feel a little mysterious. But hearing something unusual isn't the only explanation, because sometimes dogs bark even when there isn't any sound at all. And that brings us to another very common reason. Reason 2, territorial instinct. Dogs are naturally protective of their space. Even the friendliest dog still has an instinct to watch over the area where they live. If something enters or passes near that space, their brain immediately becomes alert. Maybe someone walks past the house, a delivery driver approaches the door, or another animal crosses the yard. Your dog notices, their body tenses, their ears perk up, and barking becomes a signal that says, something is here. Or sometimes, this is my territory. But here's the interesting part. The thing that triggered the barking might disappear very quickly. A squirrel runs across the fence and vanishes. A person walks past the house and keeps going. A shadow moves across the yard and disappears. Your dog reacts instantly, but by the time you walk to the window, there's nothing there anymore. So from your perspective, it looks like your dog was barking at empty space. But from your dog's perspective, they were doing exactly what their instincts told them to do. Reason 3, dogs are answering other dogs. Here's something many people don't realize. Dogs often communicate with each other across surprisingly long distances. One dog starts barking, another dog hears it and responds. Then another joins in. And suddenly, several dogs in the neighborhood are barking back and forth. But humans usually don't hear the first bark that started the chain. Your dog does. Dogs can detect those distant sounds much more easily than we can. So your dog hears a bark somewhere down the street. They run toward the window, and they answer back. From your point of view, it may sound like your dog suddenly started barking for no reason. But in reality, they may simply be responding to another dog that you can't hear. In a strange way, it's almost like a neighborhood conversation, just one that happens entirely in barking. Reason 4, excitement. Not all barking means something is wrong. Sometimes barking is just excitement. Think about a moment that happens in many homes. Your car pulls into the driveway. You haven't opened the door yet. You haven't said a word. But inside the house, your dog suddenly starts barking, running, pacing, tail wagging wildly. They already know you're home. Maybe they recognize the sound of your car engine. Maybe they heard the garage door. Or maybe they recognize the sound of your footsteps outside. Before you even open the door, your dog is already celebrating. To someone watching this moment, it might look like the dog is barking at empty space, but really they're just saying, "You're back." And if you've ever walked into your home to a dog that's barking and spinning with excitement, you know exactly what that looks like. Actually, I'm curious about something. Has your dog ever started barking before you even opened the door, before you even stepped inside? If that's happened to you, let me know in the comments, because a lot of dog owners notice this exact moment. Reason 5. Boredom and excess energy. Sometimes barking isn't about danger at all, it's about energy. Dogs that don't get enough physical or mental stimulation often become very sensitive to small changes in their environment. A leaf moves outside, a shadow shifts across the window, a faint sound happens somewhere down the street, and suddenly your dog reacts, barking, alert, ready for something to happen. But the truth is, their brain may simply be looking for stimulation, especially in younger dogs or in breeds that were originally developed to work all day. Herding breeds, terriers, working dogs. These dogs often have a lot of energy built into their genetics. When that energy doesn't have an outlet, their brain starts reacting strongly to even small changes. And sometimes those reactions look like barking at nothing. But in reality, your dog may simply be bored or looking for something interesting to happen. Reason 6. Attention. Dogs are incredibly good at learning how humans respond. If your dog barks and you immediately react, they learn something very quickly. Barking gets attention. Maybe you stand up and check the window. Maybe you walk over to see what's happening. Maybe you talk to them. From the dog's perspective, something important just happened. They made a sound, and you responded. That means barking works. So sometimes dogs bark simply to pull you into the situation, almost like saying, "Hey, come look at this," or even, "Hey, pay attention to me." This doesn't mean the dog is being bad. It simply means they've learned a pattern. Sound leads to reaction. And there's actually a simple training tip that many dog trainers recommend. If barking becomes frequent, try waiting until your dog becomes quiet before giving attention. Then, reward calm behavior. This helps teach your dog that quiet behavior gets your attention, not the barking itself. A less common reason. There is one rare reason worth mentioning, especially for older dogs. Some senior dogs develop something called Canine Cognitive Dysfunction. This condition is similar to dementia in humans. Dogs with this condition may become confused or disoriented. They might wander at night, or occasionally bark at empty spaces. This isn't the cause in most situations, but if barking suddenly increases in an older dog, especially at night, it can be a good idea to talk with a veterinarian. They can help rule out medical causes and make sure everything is okay. So, are dogs really barking at nothing? Let's go back to the original question. Why do dogs bark at nothing? Most of the time, they aren't. They may be reacting to a sound we can't hear, a movement we didn't notice, another dog somewhere far away, excitement, boredom, or simply trying to communicate with us. Dogs experience the world very differently from humans. Their senses pick up things we completely miss, which means when your dog suddenly starts barking, there's often something happening, even if you can't detect it. If you live with a dog, you've probably had this moment before. Your dog starts barking. You look around the room. Nothing. You look outside. Still nothing. And you say something like, "Buddy, there's literally nothing there." But from your dog's perspective, there might actually be plenty happening. You just can't sense it. Dogs do a lot of strange things. Zoomies, eating grass, spinning in circles before lying down, and sometimes barking at absolutely nothing. But once you understand the reasons behind these behaviors, they start to make a lot more sense. If you enjoy learning why dogs do the strange things they do, consider subscribing, because every week we explore another mystery inside a dog's mind. And next time your dog suddenly starts barking at nothing, remember this: it might not be nothing. It might just be something only your dog can notice.